Happy New Year to all. Welcome to 2021. It is bound to be better for a lot of us than 2020 was, which is good news, right? But it is also a time where we look back at our past, take stock, are hopefully grateful for where we are in life. And all those things are true for me and my family as well. And I recently had an idea about doing some type of vinyl memories episode, if not a series. And as I discussed that with people, I saw that someone else was actually having a contest with basically the same idea, your earliest musical memories. So I'm not sure if I missed the contest or not, but that's okay. I want to share a little bit about some of my history with music and specifically on vinyl, recorded music on vinyl, because it goes back pretty far. And I'm sure for some of you as well, some of your earliest memories are pretty early. So that's what we're going to take a look at today on Vinyl from the Cave, some vinyl from my past. So some of the earliest musical memories I have, besides watching television with my parents, variety shows, Carol Burnett or whatever, um, involve records that were given to me at a very young age, 2, 3 years old, maybe younger. But I remember I had this Winnie the Pooh 45 that I loved so much. And I had this little record player I got for Christmas one year. I mean, I ran around the house with it like it was a toy until, sadly, it broke. I broke it in half. But I mean, I used to clutch that thing and just run around that. If I wasn't listening to it, I had it in my hand because it was so cool. I had some Disney stuff when I was young. Bozo the Clown. What was really popular back then was the book and record sets. So you'd get a book and you'd have a story or some songs and you get a bing, turn the page so you could read along. And I had all that stuff. And as I got older, even I had some cool ones from movie adaptations or comic books from Power Records. So we're going to take a look at a few of those and listen to some samples of those things first before we get into some more serious musical selections.
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber, their bottoms are made out of springs. They're bouncy, trouncy, bouncy, bouncy, fun, 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 fun. But the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one.
Bozo, said the circus boss, we've lost our lion tamer. You'll have to take his place. But boss, said Bozo with a shiver, I'm no lion tamer. I'm just a plain clown. Turn the page. You're now a lion tamer.
Eerie stillness as silent as Nova's scream. Distraught and bewildered, Nova rides aimlessly toward a sight that will only confuse her more.
Skipper, speak to me. It's Brent. Skipper, hang on.
Where are we?
I don't know. We were following Taylor's exact trajectory and probably duplicated his fate. I don't know where we are, but the smashed instruments tell us when. 3955 AD.
Once I came of age to really appreciate music more and listen to things that weren't Winnie the Pooh, I got some hand-me-down records from my brother and sister. I had an older brother and sister living with us. I have 4 older brothers, but I only had one living with us at the time, and my sister, and they gave me a bunch of old records that they weren't listening to anymore because they had moved on in their musical interests. So I got a bunch of really great stuff, which really helped formulate a lot of my taste and understanding of music to this day. So I'm going to go through a few of those with you right now. Most of these 45s, I literally wore the grooves out on. I just played them over and over to the point of probably driving my siblings and my parents nuts a little bit. But they were really important to me and still are. I still have most of these to this day for that reason. But the first one is Gary Lewis and the Playboys I won't make that mistake again, backed with Just My Style, or probably the other way around. I think they were both hits, but Just My Style was pretty big. And Gary Lewis is Jerry Lewis's son, who was a drummer and guitarist and singer, and had a great group. But in the studio, I think they were basically, the Wrecking Crew, and produced and arranged by Leon Russell. And man, what an awesome sound during that time. The convergence and confluence of Beatlemania and the California sound and, the Beach Boys and all that stuff was happening. The top 40 was pretty amazing. And you got sounds like this, which are today, I think, pretty hooky. But for the time, once again, thanks to my brother and sister and the hand-me-down records that I got from them. I got turned on to Motown and the Motown-influenced soul sounds pretty early on. And I played Stevie Wonder, especially Yester Me, Yester You, Yesterday, a lot, over and over. Also, I believe it's the Funk Brothers from Motown on Mel and Tim's Backfield in Motion. And they're not really a Motown group, but they certainly sound like it. And the Funk Brothers, the house band for Motown in Detroit, actually did quite a bit of moonlighting on other labels and for other studios in Detroit, and if I'm not mistaken, even Chicago. So they do pop up on other records, even though they weren't supposed to, because they had an exclusive contract with Berry Gordy. But yeah, Mel and Tim's Backfield in Motion, man, I rocked that thing a lot.
Backfield in motion, yeah. I'm gonna have to penalize you. Backfield in motion, baby. You know that's against the rules.
My sister was into Cat Stevens, and when she moved on to buying albums rather than singles, I got a bunch of her singles. One I used to play a lot is Miles from Nowhere. Great song. I can't seem to find the one that it really sticks out in my mind, though. And it was a big hit for Cat Stevens, and it's called Peace Train. And, a lot of people know that song, but there's a good reason. It is incredibly hooky with a great message. So here's a little bit of that.
Now I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Oh, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one. And I believe it could be, someday it's going to come. 'Cause out on the edge of darkness, there rides a peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. Now I've been smiling lately, thinking about the good things to come. And I believe it could be, something good has begun. Oh, peace train sounding louder, ride on the peace train. Ooh, ooh. Come on, the peace train. Yes, peace train, holy roller. Everyone jump upon the peace train. Ooh, ooh. Come on, the peace train.
Another one I wore the grooves out on was a Beatles record. Of course, everybody had and has Beatles records. Everybody loved the Beatles. We were not immune in our household. I got a really nice picture sleeve of We Can Work It Out and Day Tripper 45. And there's an interesting story behind this one because it used to come with a really sweet picture sleeve, and it didn't have scratches in the label from someone trying to play the label with a stylus. But I have mentioned before the high school radio station that we started at my high school, and I brought a bunch of my own records in to get us started, and some people helped me out a little bit with that. So this one got battered even more than it had from me when I was a kid, and someone decided to take that picture sleeve and do something really cool, which was break it open and staple it to the wall as a poster. Clearly it bothered me because it still does to this day, like 50 years later. But I got to forgive the guy because I didn't take such great care of my records either, you know. But the Beatles, super influential, and of course, they were on everybody, right?
Try to see it my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can go on? While you see it your way, run the risk of knowing that our love may soon be gone. We can work it out. We can work it out. Think of what you're saying. You can get it wrong and still you think that it's alright. Think of what I'm saying. We can work it out and get it straight or say goodnight. We can work it out. We can work it out. Life is very short and there's no time.
So one record that had a big impact on me, musically later, but just early, just had an impact. That was my brother's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida from Iron Butterfly. And he was a guitar player, is a guitar player, and played that a lot. And the long version, the album version, is really long and has some kind of dark sections. You know, some minor and diminished chords and a really crazy psychedelic guitar solo where at certain points, the guitarist, I forget his name, but he takes the pick and just like scrapes over the strings. And it makes a very eerie sound, especially for a child under the age of 5. So that record used to freak me out. And I think that was partially why my brother, who's 8 years older, enjoyed playing it so much. So let's take a little sample of the classic of the psychedelic genre, Iron Butterfly's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. first album that I bought with my own money was Alice Cooper's Alice Cooper Goes to Hell. And many people who know me may be surprised at that choice. I was a young man, first of all, but Alice and I, in some ways, wound up in the same place in life eventually. But there's a funny story beyond this choice. And there's some pretty great music on here, too. If you're a rock fan and you like Alice Cooper, Bob Ezrin did a really nice production here. But there's a story behind this because I went to a store that used to be in the area called Cabbages, and I think I spent $5 or $7, which to me at the time, you know, pre-junior high or whatever, was like, it might as well have been $800. You know, you had to work pretty hard. You had to cut a lot of lawns to get that kind of coin. And I went to the record store and picked out something, and it was this because it looked cool, and got it home, and it was warped and it skipped. And Cabbages had like some kind of no return policy. So I took it back and they're like, nah. And I was pretty upset. And my dad went to bat for me. And he would often take on other people's injustices and fight for the little man, which in this case was his son, me. And he got me a new copy of the record. I think police were almost called, but cooler heads prevailed, and he walked out with a non-warped version of this.
Just tried to have fun, racing and then some. I'm a dirt talking, beer drinking woman chasing minister's son. Slap on the makeup and blast out the music. Wake up the neighbors with a roar like a teenage heavy metal elephant gun. If you call it guilty, then that's what I am. I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
So those are some of my earliest musical memories on vinyl. I'd love to hear yours. If you'd like to share some, either in the comments down below or make your own video, because we all want to hear about that and maybe hear some of the music as well. So yeah, please let us hear about what some of your earliest musical memories were, and especially if they're vinyl memories. I'd love to hear your comments and stories. So that's it for Vinyl from the Cave today. Hope you'll join us again sometime soon in the Triphonic Lounge, and we'll see you next time.